Hello everybody, welcome. Come on in and sit down. My name's Tracey Aquino. I'm a lecturer in London and have taught on the University of London International Programmes for 40 years, which is quite a long time. And in that time, I've met students around the world who've gained enormously from their participation in the programme, including many years of incredibly talented Hong Kong students. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy today and think about joining the ranks of incredible lawyers who've come from this fantastic country. Okay? I love my time in Hong Kong, and I love working with Hong Kong students who regularly are at the top of the University of London's achievement lists. My background is that I'm not just an academic, I'm a barrister, and I still do cases, but on a pro bono basis. That means I take on cases for people who can't otherwise afford to have legal advice. And I don't do criminal cases, although I do teach criminal law. I do mainly civil cases, civil litigation, disputes between individuals and companies, sometimes individuals and government departments. And my main area of interest is what's called the law of tort. And I didn't know what I could do with you for half an hour that might interest you rather than bore you silly. And I've been going around Hong Kong thoroughly enjoying the upcoming Chinese New Year and seeing all the little snakes everywhere. And I thought, oh, I know, I'll do something about a snake, a tort case involving a snake. But sadly, they don't have happy endings. The snake usually sees off somebody, and then the powers that be see off the snake. So I thought I'd go to slightly more cheerful and amusing areas, but I did stick with animals. And so this little, if you like, chat is just called Of Mice and Snails, rather than Of Mice and Men. And I thought I would just introduce you to the law of tort, and hopefully next time I'm in Hong Kong, I might see you in my tort classes, which is what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. And what you will see, if I can get the thing to work, it's not going.
Is it not working?
No. Yeah. Can you just... Okay, now it will, great. Okay, so the word tort is a funny word, okay? It's not a word that most non-law students would instantly recognise. But you might mention those letters in other longer words, because those letters come from the sort of Latin and Norman French, and it means twisted or wrong. So if you think of the word torture, that's a very twisted, wrong way of treating somebody. So torts are the label we give to wrongdoing, where it is left to the individual victim to start civil proceedings in the civil courts to establish that they have been wronged, to establish that they've suffered loss, to establish that they are entitled to compensation. And most people thinking of studying law are more familiar with criminal law. We see that a lot on the television. It's good entertainment. And we know about crimes like murder and manslaughter and theft. Well, tort is the kind of civil law equivalent of the criminal law. It's a very people-centred area of the law, and it deals with lots of different types of wrongdoing. Lots of types of tort you will be familiar with, even though you might not have realised it. You're used to seeing, for example, accidents. road traffic accidents, sometimes medical errors, sometimes people's reputations are trashed. And so we have torts like negligence that deal with liability for carelessness in some circumstances. We have torts called defamation that protect your reputation. We have torts called false imprisonment that protect your liberty. Basically, everything that matters to people is protected in some way or the other by the law of tort. From your person, your freedom, your reputation, your property, your land, your enjoyment of that. All of these things are protected in tort. And if one of those vital things has been harmed or damaged by somebody else's wrongdoing, then you can, if you can afford it, or if you can find a lawyer to help you, go to court. And we talk about the person bringing the claim as the claimant, and we talk about the wrongdoer being the defendant. And in civil cases, it's not like when you see on the telly a crime and people talk about proving beyond reasonable doubt, satisfied so you are sure. In tort, we don't have to make the court sure of anything. We just have to make the court feel that on the balance of probabilities, it's more likely than not that the claimant is correct, that this wrong has been done. And that is why sometimes you learn of cases like, for example, O.J. Simpson, where he was acquitted in the criminal case of murdering his wife because the court wasn't satisfied beyond reasonable doubt. But when his victims' families sued him in tort, he was found civilly liable. It was considered that there was enough evidence to prove his liability on the balance of probabilities. And in tort, most claims, not all of them, but most claims, if you win, result in an award of money, damages, compensation, to try to make up for the harm you have suffered. Now, in tort, the main tort, academically and in practice, the one that most people walk through the door with, is the tort of negligence. And if I asked you what's negligence, most of you would equate negligence with carelessness, being stupid, being unreasonable, being less than we expect of people's behaviour. And that is at the essence of negligence. Negligence is a tort we use when the defendant has been careless. But every tort lawyer will tell you it's not enough that the defendant was careless. Every tort has a definition, like a one-line, if you like, synopsis of what it involves. And that definition is like a recipe of a cake. You can break it down into certain core ingredients or elements. So we say negligence is the breach of a legal duty of care that is owed by the wrongdoer, the defendant, to the claimant, and it causes the claimant to suffer reasonably foreseeable damage. And if I break that down, I can see I don't just need careless behaviour, which is what we call a breach. I need there to have been a duty of care, a legal obligation to be careful. And if I can show that the defendant had a duty and breached it on the one hand, then I have to link that breach and show that that breach is what caused the claimant's damage. And we talk about the damage not being able to be too remote. And this is a huge tort. It takes weeks to study it. But if you can grasp this, then you're on your way to being successful. because this is an area of English law that is 99.9% made and developed by judges. One of the things you will learn about English law is that we have for centuries had very lazy parliaments. They can't be bothered to lay down the law in codes or statutes in every single area. So since the Middle Ages, judges have been entrusted with making the common law. And in England, we don't view that as undemocratic, because they're only able to do it because Parliament hasn't legislated. If Parliament wants to, it can take over the common law and reword it or change it and put it into a statute. And judges don't make law exactly as they wish either. You will see when you study our legal system that judges have chosen to operate within what we call a self-imposed restraint. They have made up rules for themselves called binding judicial precedent. They can't do what they like. They can't wake up today and think, oh, I'll make a new law. They can only decide the issues in the case in front of them. And they have to follow earlier binding decisions. They don't have complete freedom. They have to do, if you like, law within certain restraints. And the tort of negligence has been developed by the judges over the years to regulate liability for carelessness, not all the time. It would be opening the floodgates. We would drown in litigation if we could sue every single person for every single careless thing they did wrong. You can only be sued for being careless if you owe a legal duty to be careful, what judges call a duty of care. And when we study tort together, we will see that this isn't something real. You can't see it or touch it. You don't know where the limits are, because actually it's an imaginary concept. It's what we call a policy device. By insisting on a duty of care, judges can control who is liable to whom and for what. So you will see in England, for example, I often will owe a duty of care if I do a positive wrong, if I run you over. But I won't usually owe a duty of care as a matter of policy if I watch a child drown in a puddle. As long as I watch and do nothing, I won't normally owe a duty. Sometimes I can, but normally I won't. And there's no, if you like, God-given reason for that. That's English judges deciding we don't want to be able to sue everyone who just walks on by. We cannot legally compel people to be good Samaritans. It's too much trouble. More bad things will come from it than good. So judges control liability in negligence. And negligence has taken off in the 20th century. Okay? It was beginning developing in the 19th century, but it's not our oldest tort by any means. Our oldest torts are called trespass torts. They hardly get used nowadays. I can't remember the last time anyone asked for advice from me on a trespass tort. But all the time, I'm being asked about negligence. And that little snail on the top of that ginger beer bottle is accredited with having allowed the law of negligence to boom. Now that's a little bit of an oversimplification. It coincided with big changes in society, a First World War where people had died in millions in the promise of a better tomorrow. the emergence of a much more industrialised society, and insurance companies who were prepared to insure defendants, which make tort claims much more viable. There's no point suing a poor man because they won't be able to pay you. You need to sue someone rich, a public body, or someone insured. So here you see a little snail on top of a dark, opaque ginger beer bottle that you can't see inside. So if we go on the trail of the snail, that is a landmark case that once you've heard about it, you will remember it on your deathbed. It's a case called Donoghue and Stevenson. And although I, as an Englishwoman, have a very big love for Donoghue and Stevenson, it actually started life in Scotland. There was a very poor lady called May Donoghue. She was separated from her husband, and I know she was poor because she had to petition the House of Lords and get relief as a pauper in order to be able to carry on with her claim without worrying about crippling legal costs. So she's a poor woman who lives in Scotland, Paisley on the outskirts of Glasgow. And she went with a friend, we don't know if it was a male friend or a female friend, and scandal forbids me from suggesting which, but they went to a cafe, the Well Meadow Cafe. And in that cafe, the generous friend ordered and paid for tea for them both. And as part of the tea, the friend treated Mrs. Donoghue to a sort of confection known in Scotland as a pear and ice. But basically it was a big glass full of sort of tin fruit and ice cream, and you poured the fizzy drink of your choice on top of that, a bit like a cheap McFlurry in the olden days. And you stirred it all up and you sort of either drank it through a straw or used a spoon. So the friend had a contract with the cafe for the purchase of these items. And at that time in England, there were very strict rules that only parties to the contract could sue if the contract went wrong, if there was a breach of contract. And Mrs. Donoghue was thoroughly enjoying her treat. The waiter had brought over the ginger beer in a dark, opaque, sealed bottle. He opened it at the table, poured a little in, and Mrs. Donoghue was left with the rest of the bottle. And when she went to top up her treat, she was horrified to find the decomposed remains of a snail slither out. Ugh. And she claimed that she was violently ill and had to go to hospital with gastroenteritis. And she sued the manufacturer, Stevenson's, saying there was a snail in my ginger beer. Now she couldn't sue the cafe in contract because it wasn't her contract. If that happened to you or I now, we would have no hesitation in suing the manufacturer for the snail in our ginger beer or our can of Coke. But we're only able to do it because Mrs. Donoghue and her brave lawyer challenged the law. She brought a claim in Scotland that everybody thought she was doomed to lose. And she won the first time, but on appeal, she lost. So she had to come all the way to London, to the House of Lords, which was then our highest appeal court, that heard appeals from Scotland and England. And she and her lawyer tried to persuade the court that the big bad manufacturer did owe her a duty of care. Because the manufacturer said, I don't care if there was a snail in the ginger beer. I don't think it's my fault, but even if it was, you cannot sue me because I don't owe you a duty of care. At that point in time, manufacturers didn't owe a widespread duty to their consumers. One of the judgments was given by a judge called Lord Buckmaster, who was the senior judge at the time. And he was backed by another judge called Lord Tomlin. And they said, the way we've always done this is we've looked at the facts of today's case and see if it fits in the facts of the old categories. And they said all the old cases show you can sue a manufacturer if you have a contract. But we said Mrs. Donoghue didn't have a contract, did she? You can also sue a manufacturer if you buy something that is inherently dangerous, like a box of fireworks that explodes in your face. But ginger beer isn't inherently dangerous, so she wasn't going to win on that. And the last situation is what we would nowadays call a product recall case. You know, sometimes you see an advert in the paper where the manufacturer has become aware that, oh, I don't know, there are snails in my ginger beer, so everyone who bought ginger beer between these dates, please return it. But there was no awareness of a problem with Stevenson's ginger beer. So these two judges says, sorry, Mrs. Donoghue, tough luck. You don't fit in the earlier categories. He says, you don't fit. If you don't fit, tough luck. He says, what you're asking me to do would make every manufacturer of every product liable to every consumer. That's too hard, too onerous on manufacturers. If I take one step, why not 50? He was worried he was going to burden manufacturers with huge liability. But fortunately for all of us, especially me, because I tend to swig out of cans of Diet Coke, he was in the minority. There were three other judges, Lord Atkin, Lord Macmillan, and Lord Tankerton. And Lord Atkin takes the lead. He's a common law great judge of his generation. He believed that law and morality should go hand in hand. He thought, how can it be right that a rich, powerful manufacturer making lots of money from selling their products can avoid liability to someone who consumes the product but who might not have happened to have directly bought it from the manufacturer? He was incredibly uncomfortable with that. He was also uncomfortable in this new changing world with the idea that negligence was going to be stuck in the past, stuck in old categories. So he wants, if you like, to do two things at once. He wants to help Mrs. Donoghue, but he also wants to help expand the law of negligence. And he says, Lord Buckmaster says, you can only sue if you're in one of those three categories. But he says, that's just accidents of litigation. We know you win then because people sued for those things. But those things illustrate something much wider than what they say. In effect, Lord Buckmaster is saying, you can win, you can win, you can win. Lord Atkins says, you can win, you can win, you can win, but what do you have in common? Because you illustrate something much wider. And he says, in all of those cases, like in Mrs. Donoghue's, the manufacturer made a product in a way that nobody could see the danger before it was consumed. It was in that dark, opaque bottle. No one could see there was a snail inside. There might not have been a duty if there was a snail in a clear bottle of water, because you'd be daft to drink it. But in this case, he managed to hold that there should be a duty for Mrs. Donoghue. And he said, Lord Buckmaster says you can claim if it's inherently dangerous, i.e. if you got injured by a wolf in wolf's clothing. But I'm saying you should be able to sue for any product, because a wolf in sheep's clothing is arguably even more dangerous. If I'm carrying fireworks, I'm going to be careful. If I'm carrying a bottle of ginger beer, I'm not going to expect it to explode. It's actually potentially more dangerous to me. So he confirms a duty by the manufacturer, but he also confirms that moving forward, there can be new duties of care. And a starting point, not the end point, there are other things to consider, is what became known as the neighbour test. He draws an analogy with the Bible, where Jesus says to the crowd, you must love your neighbour. And he says, in law, it becomes you must not harm your neighbour. And when Jesus was talking to the crowd, one clever, probably lawyer, put his hand up, wanting to know who's my neighbour. And Lord Atkins says the answer to the lawyer's question is those who you ought to reasonably foresee will be closely and directly affected by your acts. And that enables negligence to develop. The majority think Atkin is correct on the facts of Donoghue, the manufacturer-consumer duty, and they also think he's right about negligence, having the capacity to develop. And in my lifetime as a tort lawyer, I have seen huge changes in the law of negligence. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It's driven by real people, real people's needs, and society's needs. And to show you that the law is not all dry and boring, this is a picture of a now famous mouse who found his way, allegedly, into a can of Mountain Dew. Now, this is an American case called Ball and PepsiCo. And I'm not sure who was heading Pepsi's legal or public relations department, but both of them should probably have been sacked. Mr. Ball claimed he bought a can of Mountain Dew, and halfway through it, felt it tasted really odd. And he opened the can and found, he said, a dead mouse in his can of Mountain Dew. He called up Pepsi, who came and took the mouse away and said they tested it, but he claims they destroyed it. And he said he was like Mrs. Donoghue. He was drinking his Mountain Dew without the ability to see what was inside. So the manufacturer owed him a duty of care. An American and English law is very similar on this point, and that they had breached it. Pepsi denied it. In fact, they thought he was faking it. Their not very clever defense strategy was to say, you cannot have found a mouse in your Mountain Dew because Mountain Dew is so acidic that if a mouse had been there for as long as this mouse must have been, all its innards would have been dissolved. At most, you'd have had a little furry sack, and you had an intact mouse. Now, I'm not sure that's a great advert for Mountain Dew. I certainly haven't ever drunk it again since. He denied fraud, and they confidentially settled the case. So we don't know for how much, but he did originally sue for about $75,000. And my last one is, waiter, waiter, there's a fly in my water. And this is a Canadian case, again, about a manufacturer's duty, this time to not quite as resilient a consumer as Mrs. Donoghue. This is a case called Mustafa and Culligan. It's a Canadian case, And the claimant was super hypersensitive, obsessive about his family's health. And in probably one of the cleanest countries in the world, he wouldn't allow his family to drink tap water. He bought in huge office-type containers of water. And one day he was walking past his stash of water, and in an unopened bottle, he saw a dead fly. And he claimed he was so overcome by that he suffered profound psychiatric harm. And he sued the manufacturer. And they said, hold on a minute here. This is a fly in a clear bottle of water that you haven't even consumed. You are not like Mrs. Donahue, who was hurt where anyone would reasonably expect you to be hurt. You wouldn't reasonably expect that a grown man seeing a dead fly in a bottle of water that he hasn't even drunk would be injured. He was what we call a supersensitive, unforeseeable claimant. He was not able to succeed in his action or on his appeal. So that gives you a taste of the kind of cases you will come across. I can't promise every area of the law is full of fun, but it is of vital importance. We sit here now with the law affecting us all of the time. Every aspect of our lives, everything we hold dear, from our body, our integrity, our bodily integrity, our autonomy, our freedom, everything, our family, our home, our rights, all of that is protected by the law. And the law governs our relationships with each other, with organisations, with government departments, and there are so many reasons for thinking about doing the London degree. As I said, I've worked on it for 40 years, and the academics who contribute to that degree are the UK's top academics, okay? They are committed to, if you like, extending the opportunity to study a London degree of the same high quality and high standards as at LSE or King's or Queen Mary to students around the world. Maybe many of our alumni have not just gone on to be highly successful lawyers. They have become judges and leaders in the legal profession around the world. It is a degree with an incredibly proud tradition. It's not a degree whose standards are anything other than a gold standard. I know if I see a student who's got a University of London International LLB, they are a good student. That degree speaks volumes, not just in terms of the academic standards they have met, because they are high, but it says a lot about the individual, their resilience, their time management, their discipline, that they have been able to achieve such a qualification. And the knowledge you get and the skills you acquire are going to stand you in good stead no matter what you do. It might be that you go on to a career in the law, but lots of people get law degrees and go on to other careers. My son studied law from day one. I'm not being a lawyer. Don't think I'm being a lawyer. I'm just doing this because I want to make big bucks in commerce. And he did a law degree and he went off. He never practiced a day in his life. I'm quite surprised actually he's worked a day in his life, but apparently he's quite good at his job and he accredits his awareness of law. When COVID struck in, he works for a very large travel organisation. And when COVID struck, he was tasked, because he was basically the in-house sort of supposed legal brain, with devising refund policies, devising work policies, etc., that enabled consumer rights to be properly protected in the pandemic, and also the workers to be protected in the pandemic. So you can do anything with law. And the thing we're looking for most is people with an open mind, people who think. It's very easy for me to tell you this, this, this. But what we're looking for is people who are going to think, okay, I get that, but why? That's good, but what about this problem? The thing that makes good lawyers is the ability to challenge, not through violence, but through intellect. Every case that has changed the law, just like Mrs. Donohue's, involves judges who take the credit for the change, but it's actually Mrs. Donohue's clever lawyer who thought about a way forward to bring a claim that was against all the odds, that meant we had meaningful change. So you will have to work hard. There's no giving away a degree just because you rocked up. But that's what's going to make it such a valuable thing for you to have done. Because you are going to know the blood, sweat and tears that went into it, and other people are going to know just how hard you've worked and just what qualities that degree shows you have. You will read a lot, you'll communicate a lot, you'll have fun with classmates. The wonderful thing about this program is that it puts students in touch with one another. They study together, they meet together, even after us visitors have long left. And we have WhatsApp groups and we exchange ideas. And, each year I come back and last year's students keep in touch. It is an incredible program. And Space run a really good program for the London University degree. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions and then I'll hand over to Tiffany. So thank you.
Do you have any questions for Tracey?
Yes.
So I guess we have a very clear path that after studying the program that we could proceed to further our study in maybe certificate in US, Canada, other legal system. So just wanted to check your view, like how do you see the difference in the law system between the UK one and also the US and Canada one? There's a subtlety.
Okay, yeah. The UK is a very small country. Okay, we do technically have different jurisdictions. So we have laws that apply everywhere, and we also have laws that apply to England and Wales or Scotland or Ireland. But the US is huge. Now, when the US was, if you like, first independent, it took a lot of the English legal traditions, the common law traditions. So in the US, judges do make and develop the law. Okay, they have a common law tradition like we do. But unlike the UK, they have state laws and they have federal laws. Unlike the UK, the US also has a written constitution. And so there is a balance between, if you like, private law and the constitution. And you'll sometimes see all sorts of claims being argued as unconstitutional. So if you watch CNN at the moment, there's a claim going on because Texas is requiring people to log on to porn sites and show their face. Texas says that's to stop children logging on. The porn industry are saying it's a violation of, basically the First Amendment, that people should have the right to freedom of expression, to access information, and you're just trying to shame people out of using porn sites because they have to show their face. And so there are arguments like that about the limits of the Constitution that we really don't have in the UK. But although we have an unwritten constitution, we have lots of checks and balances. So ours is not so much, is it unconstitutional, Ours is more who has the power to do what, have they exceeded those powers, or have they used them in the wrong way? And we do that by way of judicial review. So some University of London graduates do go off and do the US bar, all right? But the bar rules vary from state to state as to what your qualification needs to be to do it. But I'm familiar with lots doing, for example, the New York bar. Canada is different again, because Canada has some French and some English legal traditions. But when I've taught in Canada, I've done revision courses, etc. in Toronto, and I've been surprised at how very similar Canadian tort law is to us, although occasionally they will refuse to do what England does because they feel they have different needs in society. But the common law tradition of reasoning through cases, looking for similarities, finding differences, construing legal principles in a way that may enable room for manoeuvre is something that lawyers do in the UK, in Canada, and in the US. Not so much, for example, in France and Germany, where there's a civil law tradition and all the rules are written down and it doesn't have quite the same room for manoeuvre. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so Germany, they were more diligent, maybe, than the English. Most of mainland Europe was controlled by the Roman Empire, if you go back a couple of thousand years. And the Romans codified Roman law very early on. So they produced codes or statutes, a series of written rules. And the Emperor Justinian piloted this very deliberate project of writing down rules. And that concept went through France, Germany, etc. Now the Romans conquered Britain. They first came in 55 BC and they established a foothold in 43 AD. But they didn't regard the British as worthy of Roman law. We were considered primitive, we were tribes, we painted ourselves blue, we couldn't read and write, and we were just the lowest of the low. So the Roman law applied only to the Romans. And when they left about 400 years later, they took all their law with them, and we were left with nothing. And we didn't really have law or a legal system until after the Norman conquest in 1066. And then kings began to try to do justice as a means of cementing their own power. And they nominated trusted advisors who became known as royal justices to go around the country resolving disputes. And those principles became known as the common law, common to the whole country. So our judges made up the rules as they went along. French and German judges just look at the code. Our judges' decisions are the law itself, whereas French and German judges do not make the law, they merely explain it. They merely, if you like, elaborate on it. So there's a different mindset. We used to pretend judges didn't make law in England, but now we fess up, yes, they do. It's a pretense to pretend otherwise. Okay, well, good luck on your journeys. Maybe I'll see you next time in Hong Kong, but take care, and it was a pleasure meeting with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Historical backgrounds of introduction.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you later at the lunch place. Tracey also has teaching in the afternoon, so she's just going to head off to lunch, and after that she has to come back to teach for our students. So hello everybody, I'm just going to give you a very brief program information because Tracey has already talked about this program briefly. So my name is Tiffany, and I'm the program lead for the London ULB. As Tracey has mentioned already, absolutely no one can escape the law, no matter what you do right now or in the future, or you're not doing anything. Merely as a customer, a consumer, you are bound by the law, governed by the law, like every single second in your life. So, another question would be why choose to study law. This is a legit question right now because AI is like a hot topic. So can law jobs be replaced by AI? I think Tracey has talked about that a little bit already. There are many law jobs, literally, not only lawyers or judges, but also, from the lawmaking body, which is the LegCo in Hong Kong, Legislative Council. So they make law. In a criminal proceedings, in a court proceedings, the lawmaker makes law. So who enforces the law in Hong Kong? Who is the law enforcement body in Hong Kong? And this is a question for you. Who are the law enforcement body in Hong Kong? Huh? Police force, yes. That's one of it. Obvious answer. And others? Police is one of the law enforcement. And also ICAC, Custom and Excise. They do crime investigation, okay? They can arrest people. So they are the law enforcement body. And also if, let's say, for example, they arrest somebody and then they gather enough evidence, then who will prosecute? Who are the prosecutor in Hong Kong? Take the cases to the court. Who are? Exactly, DOJ, Department of Justice, right? So they will prosecute that person, that suspect. Okay, so lawyers will come in to defend for the defendant. Okay, so these are all the law jobs. So if unfortunately that person has to send to the jail, so they will put into jail. Who governs the jail? Who responsible for the jail? The Correctional Services Department. So these, even the CSD, the Correctional Service Department, is also a law enforcement body in Hong Kong. They enforce the law. So these are all the law jobs that can't be replaced by AI, literally, because who can replace police duties? Hey, police can see suspicious people, like maybe drug dealings secretly. So the police can stop them, right? Can AI do it? No, right? So even lawyers, there are a lot of human skills that involve in the court. Like for example, they have to interrogate the witness. The witness might be, hey, why are you are you lying? See, they can tell if a person is lying. So they will ask follow-up questions on the witness. So these are the human skills that can't be replaced by AI, and also judges, right? So these are all the law jobs. And of course, these will be involved in a court and criminal and civil proceedings. And also, there are all law jobs that's in the private sector, the organization like the compliance or legal secretary in the company. So that's can't be replaced by AI for sure. So why this program? As Tracey has mentioned to you earlier, we are the gold standard for law degree. We are up to a standard of 6 top law schools, right? They are the law consortium, basically. The UCL, King's, Birkbeck, LSE, Queen Mary, SOAS. I have to mention to you how prestigious they are. So this program up to this standard of the 6 top law schools. So why this program is because probably we are the fastest for you to get a law degree and most affordable and definitely top quality guaranteed. As you can see just now, Tracey would be one of your teachers. Yeah. And I know our program is called the preparation courses because this is the first law degree in Hong Kong and also the first law degree in UK. And this is also the first program of Hong Kong youth space, literally. This is a grandpa program. The preparation courses, the title, it's always there, like several decades ago. So this program is actually the London ULLB itself. The preparation courses, it just merely equals to LLB modules. You are studying the modules. But everybody around the world who is taking on London ULLB will be taking the same set of examinations. So everybody will be taking the same set of examinations. What we are doing right now, Hong Kong Youth Space, is to teach you, like a law school, to teach you, to prepare you to take the examinations. So we are called the preparation courses. But you are studying the LLB per se itself, okay? Your certificate in the end will be University of London Bachelor of Law. Hong Kong Youth Space will be out of the picture. We will give you another certificate, but that's a separate certificate, okay? The LLB will be awarded solely by the London U. Okay? So, as I mentioned to you, everybody around the world, all the students will be taking the same set of examinations. And I don't know whether if you are a bachelor degree holder already, you only need to study 9 modules. Okay? If you're a non-degree holder, you only need to study 12 modules to get an LLB degree. So at most, you will only study 12 modules. In 2023 alone, our students achieved world's top 3 highest score in 5 subjects. Okay, 5 subjects, more than half of the curriculum. We have achieved like world's top 3 highest. So why our students can get such good results is because of the teachers. Okay, like going back to the teaching quality, as you can see just now, Tracey will be one of the teachers, and also we have other teachers from top law schools, like world-class top law schools, from Cambridge, Oxford, Bristol, and Royal Holloway, and they are not merely professors from top law schools. They're also holding a very high ranking in the top law schools university. Okay, so as you can see, Robert J. Low, he's a deputy head of the Royal Holloway Law School. Okay, so Professor Arthur Craig, he's also the director, international school director at Bristol Law School. Okay, so Professor William Swartling from Oxford, Adam Geary is assistant dean, okay, at Birkbeck. So they're holding a top ranking at the top law school. Okay, so these are gonna be your teacher, and that's why our student can achieve such high grade. Oh, this is Martin Dixon, Professor Martin Dixon from Cambridge. He is the director of the Land Economy Department in Cambridge University. Okay, so he's going to teach you land law. Right. As I mentioned to you, if you are a non-degree holder, you only need to study 12 subjects, and if you are degree holder, bachelor degree holder, you only need to take 9 subjects. So this is probably the fastest time because you can finish everything if you're taking 9 subjects in 2 years, fast track. The minimum entry requirement for the standard entry, for the non-degree holder ones, would be DSE 33222 or equivalent. DSE 33222 or equivalent. don't worry if you don't even have this minimum entry requirement. You can still studying on our LLB program. So you can just take the certificate of higher education in common law. This is another entry point. But we don't require you any academic proof. Okay, all you need to be is 18 years old or above. Okay, and pass the entrance test and one entrance interview, which is going to be interviewed by me. So I'm going to recommend you to study this program. So this program is basically equals to London ULLB Year 1, okay? Everything will be the same. You're going to study together. So this is, the name is, the difference between that is the entry point, okay? What you will be getting extra for this program is that you will have extra 60 more hours, small groups or one-on-one tutorial, all right, to support you. And also enrichment activities like the prison visits and visit to the addiction treatment center to the healing child, which LLB student doesn't have that. Okay, so only for the Cert HE students. And also you will have the Hong Kong U Library borrower card. You can borrow books from Hong Kong U Library, but LLB students will only have library reader card, okay? And also you will have one certificate awarded by the London U after you finish this program. So that would be an exit award, okay? Cert HE, if you finish this program, Cert HE, that which is 4 modules, if you want to continue, move on to the LLB Year 2, you can take this cert and move on to LLB Year 2. If you are like, no, law is not for me, okay? So you can just finish this program and take the certificate away. But this certificate is also awarded by the London U, okay? And for example, I know you're busy with your life, work, and families probably. Since this is an exit award, if you want to like pause after this program, if you want to pause a bit and take a rest, it's okay. Just take this program and take this certificate and come back to us to study LLB Year 2. You only need to finish everything in 6 years. Okay? So basically, as I said, Cert HE is LLB Year 1, okay, but with better resources and support from us, okay. The tutor who is tutoring the small groups now, this year, she actually also is a graduate from London ULLB, and she's now a barrister, very senior barrister in Hong Kong. And also, she is also teaching on the PCLL program as well right now. Okay. I have to stress this. This is not a top-up degree. So many people might have wondered because you only need to study 12 or 9 modules. But this is not a top-up degree. Okay, this is a full law degree. Okay. So this would be the recommend modules that. From us that you'll be taking. If you are on the standard entry, we will recommend you to study the purple color, if you can see, okay? If you want to take the graduate entry, then that would be a black color. What color is that? Can you see? Can you see from behind? Can you read from behind?
Black color?
Yeah, the graduate entry module, that column. Okay. Don't worry, we will send you the slides after this. Okay. Why is that? Because that is very much in line with the PCLL admission requirement. Do you know what is PCLL? You know what is PCLL? Okay. Who doesn't? Okay, somebody don't. So if you want to qualify as a lawyer in Hong Kong, basically, PCLL is the program that everyone has to go into. Okay, so there are only 3 PCLL program providers, which you can see at the Hong Kong UCD, and CU. Yeah, as you can imagine, this is a highly competitive program because, as I said, if you want to qualify as a lawyer in Hong Kong, you have to study this program. Yeah, not only Hong Kong provide law degrees, but also UK, US, Australia. Their students from Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, if they want to qualify in Hong Kong, come back, they would need to take this PCLL as well. So as you can imagine, this is a highly competitive program, but no worries. Why? Because I can tell you is that this program, of course, is of a high standard, and also right now, 2 of the PCLL program directors are the graduates of this program. So basically, right now, they're holding the position, and they can determine who can be admitted into PCLL. I'm not saying they will hold any preference for you, but I'm just saying everybody, they are trained as this gold standard of this high standard. So as you can see. And also, the former Secretary for Justice is also the graduate of this program, Tracey Chang. Yeah, we only have a few Secretary for Justice, so one of them is the graduate for from this program as well. So if you are thinking about getting into DOJ probably in the future, or you want to be judges in Hong Kong or want to be lawyer, this program is definitely recognized by Hong Kong government and whatever. Also the world recognizes London LLB because it's the first law degree ever. Okay, so if you want to go be a lawyer in Hong Kong or UK or US, you can use this law degree as an entrance ticket. All right. So it's because as I said, we teach you like a law school, right? So our program actually structured like a law school. You will have 36 hours for the main lectures, which is 3 hours per session. That would be 12 hours for the main lecture. And your entire grade will rely on the examinations. So all modules, we will give you an examination skills seminar to teach you how to answer the exam. So there are certain techniques and skills that you will need to know as a lawyer or as a judges. Everybody in a common law jurisdiction, you will need the same skills to sort out the cases. Yeah, they will give you a fact-based type of questions and how do you deal with that and come out an answer. So it involves technical skills and also the mock examinations. Okay. Oh, by the way, the teacher that are going to teach you, not only they are from the top law school, but also they are the examiner of the London ULLB as well. They have the experience to set the London ULLB papers, exam papers, and also they are grading the London ULLB papers. So that's why our students can get such high grades. And you will receive their individual feedbacks from the mock examinations. Okay, like really detailed individual feedbacks to tell you how can you improve your examinations. So that's very important because they are the gold standard themselves, right? And before the examinations, you will have revision lectures for 14 hours for all modules, all right? To just summarize what's the main point of that modules, basically giving you like tips how to answer the exam questions. Okay. As I said, your grade will be 100% line on the examination. So technically, no group works, no presentation or individual assignment. But as you can see, you have mock exam. So you receive individual feedback from our teachers as well. please attempt the mock exam if you can, because that will be very helpful, right? If you're taking us, the London U LLB, the common intake would be spring intake. So the class, we are starting to enroll yesterday, and the class will be starting in May. But the application deadline will be in March. Okay, the application deadline will be in March. So please apply ASAP. And if you're taking the standard entry, which I definitely recommend you to take the standard entry if you want to take the PCLL as well. And no matter you are taking the standard entry or the graduation, I would recommend you to study legal system and method. Yeah. Legal system and method class is mandatory. This is the first lesson you need to take as a standard entry student. But you don't have to take legal system and method if you are taking the graduate entry. But I would recommend you to take legal system and method anyway, because this is a vital, like really important knowledge and skills that you need to have as a law student or as a legal professional in the future, because you get to know at least how to read the court cases. Yeah, what is binding precedent, what is case law. You will need to know that, and it's all in this legal system and method class. All right. As I mentioned to you, this would probably be the fastest and the most affordable and prestigious law degree. Yeah. All right. So what you will be getting from us is Hong Kong U-Space Statement of Attendance. All right. As I said, your certificate, LLB certificate, will be awarded solely by the University of London itself. All right. What Hong Kong U-Space will be giving to you is the statement of attendance. Hey, to prove you have studied your law degree with us, we are the recognized teaching center in London U. All right. Why is this important? Because let's say, for example, if you want to apply for a certain qualification in the future, let's say US bar exam, you want to become a US bar in the future and you want to take the US bar exam, they will need your evidence, your proof, whether your law degree is studying in a recognized school. Yeah, you can't do it individually. If you study individually and take the examinations, the London U examinations, which is possible right now, but US bar is not going to recognize your law degree. But only if you study your law degree with a recognized school. Okay, so this is important. The attendance record is very important to you in the future, right? If you care about this, you will have two graduation ceremony. One is in Hong Kong and one is in London in UK. All right. And any questions so far? We do have another program that's called a graduate diploma in commercial law, which you will be only studying the 4 modules: the contract law, commercial and company law, and IP law. But the credits from this program cannot be transferred to London U LLB. All right, this is an individual module. If you want to specialize in commercial law and you only want to take the commercial law modules, you can think about this program. But the credits cannot transfer to London U LLB, and you cannot be a lawyer with this graduate diploma. Okay, only LLB. The only credit transfer is the Certificate of Higher Education in Common Law. Oh, by the way, we have 100 pass rate last year. Yeah. Okay. So after Cert HE, you can move on to London U LLB Year 2. Any question? Hi.
I guess many people try to compare JD and LLB, and would you like to also elaborate from there?
Well,
I'm also a GT graduate. What I can tell you is that JD definitely is expensive. It close to $500,000 in total, but for us, I think it's only 100,000, similar to 100,000. And also, if you are taking the JD, you will need a bachelor degree, of course. And the second thing is, the workload is crazy because you will be studying 20-something subjects in 2 years. But right now, if you have a bachelor degree, you only need to take 9 modules. I wish I knew this program earlier. So I only have to take 9 modules and get a law degree, not taking the JD. I really have to take 20-something modules. Yeah.
But they are the same that it is make you eligible for the PCL exam, right?
Yes.
How do you compare the passing rate in the PCLL for LLB students and JD students?
No one can tell you the pass rate or what's the GPA that they can enter into PCLL. Not even the PCLL program director, because it varies every single year. Okay. What I can tell you is that we don't really have much problems. Our students, we don't really have much problems to enter into PCLL because, as I mentioned to you, 2 of the PCL program directors are from this program, and they know exactly how hard it is to pass this program. So basically, quality guaranteed. All right. As to the GPA, of course, it's as high as possible, but you can imagine taking 20-something modules in 2 years compared to taking 9 modules in 2 years. The workload they have, like when I was taking JD, the first week of my law school, I'll need to present. I'll need to do my presentation. I have tutorial questions. I haven't even learned a thing, basically, but you will need to present. So you are basically relying on your self-studying. If you are taking a full-time job, I definitely wouldn't recommend JD. Yeah, I was studying full-time and I was doing full-time work as well. It was insane. So I really wouldn't recommend that path unless you're really determined and you want to take up the challenge. Yeah. Why would you want to choose 20-something modules over you only need to take 9 modules for this program? Yeah.
And just one more question will be on for the official exam. What kind of formats are they in? Is it like a written one or a computer-based one, or just wanted to.
It's a closed book, and I think it's gonna be computer-based. Yeah, you're going to take the examinations in one of the examination center that's run by the government. So I think they will have the computer for you to take the examinations, and closed book as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between LLB and CPE?
LLB and CPE, that's a huge difference. The CPE is the graduate diploma in English and Hong Kong law. First of all, they combine the English and Hong Kong law. And secondly, CPE is the MMU, Manchester Metropolitan University. Both are our program, but the ranking are of huge difference. You can check. I have to say this very subtle. And also the teachers are not the same. If you study CPE, you will get the MMU teachers. If you study with us, you will have the Oxford Cambridge teachers. Alright. And also the CPE actually found on the basis in UK CPE system, but CPE doesn't exist in UK anymore. So LLB still exists, right, everywhere. So have I answered your question?
Okay.
But we welcome you both to our program.
Thank you. And I have one more question. If I pass in LLB, I mean I pass both years. Is it okay for me to enter in PCLL later, or just as you say, we need to get a higher GPA in order to enter PCLL?
No, you can enter it right away because we actually have a student sharing that I haven't even posted. He is now on the PCLL. Like there is no gap between the London U. Right after he finished the London U, he can just move on to the PCLL program. So why is that? Because this London U LLB, as you know, this is an English law degree, right? And in Hong Kong, after 1997, we kind of like separate from the UK degree. But it's still, it's not binding, but it's still of high persuasive in a sense, in a legal sense, okay? So we are working on a common law jurisdiction. So in the sense that the judges in the court will still look into UK cases to and take it as a reference. All right. So the knowledge you will be studying in UK law, English law, and Hong Kong law are pretty much similar. Even the ordinance, because we take our law from UK. Okay. So what if you want to qualify as a lawyer in Hong Kong, you will need to get into PCLL. But after this program, you will need to take several conversions examinations, okay? Because this is still English law. You will need to take at least 3 Hong Kong constitutional law, Hong Kong legal system, and Hong Kong land law. Hong Kong constitutional law is basically basic law, okay? So basic law is the mini constitution in Hong Kong, the highest law in Hong Kong. So all the law that made by Legislative Council and all the court cases ruled down by the judges in the court cannot be contravened to the Hong Kong basic law. Otherwise, the law will be void. All right. So basically, constitutional law and Hong Kong legal system, we have our own legal system, but our legal system is basically found on the UK legal system. All right, the 3 branches: the legislative branches, the executive branches, the government, and also what else? The judiciary. Right, pretty much similar to the UK ones. So I suggest you to take the legal system and method class. Yeah. It's not, Hong Kong legal system is way easier than, like a little bit easier than the UK legal system because they still have the royal, they have the king, that part, but pretty much similar. And Hong Kong land law, the difference between Hong Kong land law and UK land law, the main difference is that Hong Kong, we have high-rise building, so we have something called the deed of mutual covenants, right? But in UK land law, they have the freehold and the leasehold. Yeah? Freehold, it means that the land basically belongs to that landowner. But in Hong Kong, we don't really have a freehold land. All the land, the properties, the land, the owner is the government. Okay, so the only freehold land in Hong Kong is the St. Paul Cathedral. But you can just simply ignore that. Right? We don't have freehold land in general, only the St. Paul Cathedral. So that's the main difference between Hong Kong land law and UK land law. And also, UK land law right now has a registered land title. So in Hong Kong, we're still working on a deed, like a bunch of documents, like deeds, whether, I don't know whether you have seen it, the deeds, yeah, they right? But they have land registered title. So you just register online. So as an owner, there is no dispute. There is little amount of dispute to the owner of that piece of property. Alright, so that's a difference, some difference between a Hong Kong land law and UK land law. But by and large, others are pretty much similar. Right? So that's why I would recommend you to take the standard entry, because it basically covers like most of the knowledge. Right? Okay.
So is this standard entry means only study 9 modules?
12 modules is standard entry.
Oh.
So even though you have a bachelor degree, you can still take the standard entry. Okay? But there is no going back once you choose your entry point. So if you choose to study the graduate entry, you can't go back, you can't change to standard entry. Or if you choose the standard entry, there is no change, not going back to the graduate entry. There is no changing. Right. But I would really recommend you to take the standard entry, because these are the modules that are really vital and important in your life, in your practice in the future. So it basically covers all the important part. Nothing go wasted.
So for the UK bar one, is this like a direct entry after finishing the LLB?
Yes, you can just take the UK bar course.
A course?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
There is a UK bar course after this LLB.
Sorry, does you mean that even we have a bachelor degree but not actually you recommend us to study the standard one?
Yes,
Okay, that means 3 years part-time.
3 years part-time.
Okay, but for the standard one, we still need to take the convention exam before enter.
Yes. Only the 3 Hong Kong constitutional law, as you can see, right there. Hong Kong constitutional law, legal system and land law, and also commercial law part C. So there are 3 parts in the commercial law in the conversion exam. So part A, part B, you don't have to take part A and part B, only the part C. Which is, part C is just a tiny bit. It's on sales of goods ordinance, I think. It's not much. Only the part C. So 3 conversion plus a part C. If you take the standard entry. Any other? Concerns? Worries?
I'm just wondering, because I'm late for the seminar, I'm just wondering, in the Hong Kong PCLL rules, the subject is where is it I have to take extra course after the
Yes, if you want to study the PCLL, so as I mentioned, this is an English law program, but Hong Kong works on a common law jurisdiction. So there are many subjects that it's very much in line with the Hong Kong law, the UK law and Hong Kong law. So you don't worry about the black color modules, okay? Because you don't need to take the conversion. The only difference between Hong Kong and UK that you will need to take the conversion exam before you can apply the PCLL program is that the Hong Kong constitutional law, the Hong Kong legal system, and the Hong Kong land law, plus the commercial law part C.
But all of the course information is provided by Hong Kong News Space or other institute. I'm just wondering.
What course information?
The red word, is it still there is other course we can apply in Hong Kong News Space or not?
Oh, for the conversion examinations?
Yes, the red the
Yeah. You can. We also provide the tutorial, the courses for the conversion examinations as well, if you need one. But I'm pretty sure you don't need one if you study the standard entry because they're pretty much similar. Very much similar. You can tell the difference after studying the standard entry because Hong Kong constitutional law, you can get it from legal system and method if you take the standard entry and public law as well. Yeah. And Hong Kong legal system, of course, you can get it from legal system and method. And Hong Kong land law, we have property law, which is pretty much similar to the Hong Kong land law. I just told you the difference between the Hong Kong land law and UK land law, right? So very, very similar between the two.
不過我純粹想問咧，因為我都睇過你哋 Hong Kong News Space 嗰啲 course 係咪同字嗰啲 course 係？因為我就係揾唔到 PCLL 嗰啲 course 喺你哋嗰個。
有啊，我哋係有一個 PCLL conversion exam，我哋會 offer from time to time. But somehow it really subjects to the enrollment figures， 因為有陣時唔夠多人。But contract definitely 我哋係有 offer 嘅 last year. Even last year we have run conversion. 我出唔到去。So 你可以就咁打 PCLL Hong Kong U space PCLL conversion。同埋你嗰啲 conversion exam 咧，你可以一路讀呢個 LLB 一路考都冇問題。Yeah, so you don't need to wait until you finish all your LLB. You can just take the conversion exam whenever you are free in between the LLB. So you don't have to wait. There is no gap time.
Same types of examination. Close book.
Close book. But it's not hard 幾條問題咁樣。Online preparatory courses for PCL admission 呢度。So 係咯，呢個 program. So we do offer Hong Kong legal system and Hong Kong constitutional law. Okay, that's 2021. Do we have a more updated version? Let me see. You may have to check, okay? Alright, on our webpage. But this is the program, alright. No worries, it's not hard. If you can survive LLB, conversion exam is nothing for you. You get the best teacher on earth in this program. And they will fly over from UK to Hong Kong in Admiralty to teach you. Yeah?
All face to face.
All face to face. Like Tracey, she needs to fly from UK and here. Unless something like happen, okay? Unless something happened to the teacher. If they can't fly, we will move all the classes online, and at that time, you will have a recorded lecture. So we can go back to the recording, okay? Only online Zoom classes have recording. If it's face-to-face classes, you wouldn't have any recordings. Okay? Questions? Application deadline, March 20th.
What is the class size?
Class size, because since this year we moved our classes back in Admiralty. We used to run our classes in Hong Kong U main campus, which we have a large, huge lecture hall that can contain like 200 students. But our students, because they have work, commitment and family commitment, so they said Hong Kong U campus is too far away. So we moved back to Admiralty first time in century. So the class size is like this. So once it's filled, then we will stop enrolling. Not very good for business, but we listen to our students. We cater for your needs. Hey, it's very expensive to fly teachers to Hong Kong. You see, pay for the hotel, pay for the flight, and they have daily allowance. And also the mock exam. Why I'm telling you to attend is that we pay for them to set the question, like each question, and we pay for them to mark your paper. Each paper we have to pay, so you get individual feedback. Yeah, that's right. Every single dollar you are paying on this program is paying on yourself, really. Not very, money making business, definitely, but this is the brand of the Hong Kong and UK law degree, and also the brand of Hong Kong U Space, because this is the first program of Hong Kong U Space. So we will do anything to protect the reputation and maintain the high quality. See? Good? Questions, queries, concern? Let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to join Tracey for lunch. She's been waiting for me for like a long time. Yeah? No worries. No queries. Thank you. See you in class. Welcome visit you.
同埋我哋個admission centre 咧 actually 喺呢一度，所以如果你係想喺度咧，係成千唔使都要嘅，因為 standard 嗰個咧都要 DS， 最 minimum DS 要332 PO。但係如果係 graduate entry 嗰個咧，就一定要帶出嚟。要啊 material 需要啊 standard。要啊 standard。可以。冇錯，可以就係咁樣啦。着唔使requirement 嘅就係 search 咯，嗰個就係唔需要 academic review。但係 standard entry 係啦，有就訂就俾得㗎啦，可以啊。冇錯嘅，冇錯。Exactly 就喺3樓呢一度有成 team London U Admission Centre 嗰度幫人教。可以，唔係，我想講嘅呢個 admission centre 咧係直頭可以咁講，因為呢一個係全亞洲唯一兩間係可以直頭講到呢個部分，就係香港 business， 即係你唔好搞到你要直頭親身嚟做香港，即係你都知道，好似係第3月20。OK。係啦，5月係個 course start date 咯，有寫㗎喺嗰度，有晒時間表你睇我唔記得咗。Thank you, see you, you too. 唔緊要，我哋9月都有開學，10月intake有intake，有乜嘢嚟讀咯？10月嗰陣時就讀都可以。咁其實如果你想讀 fast track 嘅話咧，即係9科2年完成咧，即係 graduate entry 啦，咁就得10月 intake 先至有。咁要 standard entry 就冇所謂10月 intake 有，而
家又有10年英式又有，
哦，所以就係
係啊，唔使你咁熱嘅。
但我想問你頭先話，因為我本身冇講嘅話，聲即係我本身冇講嘅話，好熱嘅師傅，有師傅咁邊都係建議聲，因為我之後喺度講嘅，
尤其是即係個個都冇攞 background 嘅，有就即係讀 Bachelor of Laws， 但係真係好需要讀一個legal system 嘅 background。我唔知點解佢 take away London U 就咁冇咗呢一個 class 喺 graduate， 但呢個真係絕對係好重要。
同埋我聽好多人講嘅話，齋 pass 係入唔到 PCL。
咁盡全最高分嘅
但係佢冇 minimum 即係
冇人可以夠咁低分，個個學生都問，但係咧佢 good save 係真係3.3，即係 good save 但係冇嘅，即係冇一個 standard 嘅，因為實際係
即係你計分有好似好
係啊，有陣時咧有啲 student 係佢個 GPA 可能唔夠，但係咧佢有 other work experience， 佢會睇埋。雖然 GPA 係一個好 main factor， 真係 really main factor， 但係佢會 consider 埋we have other work experience or other experience， 可以收到全位嘅。
但係攞嘅 exam 用 GPA， 因為我哋全部攞嘅。
個個都冇㗎啦，個個都冇㗎。
即係你話計數，我哋
90% pass rate， 頭先我講過，但係有啲科咧就係100% pass rate。
pass rate 啫，pass rate 啫。
最後㗎。但係如果你講高分嘅，我咪話有5個全球有3年最高分，高分又有全球 pass rate 高又係，所以我都唔記得咗。